Well, you guys, Boss Syndrome Volume 4 is gone. And that's big sad, not gonna lie. This was the best banner that we've ever had, and it kind of depresses me. But with that being said, I decided since I have a BS generic memory and need one more memory to get one character to A5 that I was going to summon some more. Who'da thunk it, right? Well, I was going to do a video, but being the fact that it only took 2 multis to get a memory for one character, which ended up being this guy right here, well, we're just going to go ahead and tell you guys this way. But I used the BS generic memory that we got, and I went ahead and got a memory for Gonitz, so guess who's A5 now? Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, but let's get into the video. What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video. And in today's video, we are going to be going over some news that was posted over on the official forums, letting us know that we are going to be getting our next Ruby login bonus, which is undoubtedly going to be ushering in the next SS banner. And then we're also going to be talking about our thoughts and predictions on what we expect to see with the next SS banner, and a lot more. But before we get into all of that, make sure if you guys have not already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe, and let's go ahead and get into the news. So right off the top here, you guys are going to see, and I will have this linked in the description, over on the official forum, we do have an update from StevenYoo letting us know that we are going to be getting the October Great Release of Rubies login event. And basically what this means is we are going to be getting 7,000 time limited Rubies starting on 10/20 and running through 10/31. So basically we're going to be getting 7,000 Rubies just for logging in that will be time limited, and we have until the end of Halloween in order to use these things. Now, of course, the login banner itself is going to be featuring Yuri, which has already got a lot of people out there running around like crazy and making predictions about whether or not we are going to be seeing an SS version of this character. We'll talk more about that going further into this video, but I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys the news. There's not a whole lot else worth noting in here. Like I said, this will run through Halloween, but if you want to take a look here, I thought it was funny. The ratios tell the story there. So anyway, you guys, we will be getting this starting on 10/20, so we don't have much longer to wait. 7,000 free Rubies just for logging in, so make sure you guys are doing that. But with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get into the topic at hand, which is the next SS banner. So the first thing that I'm sure everybody is already well aware of, because everybody likes to point it out to me as if I don't have eyeballs and don't log into this game 10 times a day every single day, but basically if you take a look at the login screen, you're going to notice that there are a ton of different characters featured, most of which have already been SS characters. However, 2 of those things are not like the others. 2 of those things are highly possible to be SS characters, and that is of course going to be Terry and Rio. And that is where we're going to start with these predictions today, because of course it all is going to start and end with both of them. Now, the first big thing that needs to be pointed out here, and I did do a community post as well as a Reddit post on this in order to give everybody a little bit of a PSA, but basically I did a rumor killer on a leak, or supposed leak. I'm doing air quotes with my fingers right now that you guys can't see because I'm on the other side of a phone, but this photo had been circulating all over the forums, Discord, Reddit, everywhere you looked, even YouTube. There were a bunch of different people that ran this as if it was fact. So what I did is I went ahead and I reached out to a couple of data miners. Now, these are the same data miners that we all rely upon for our data mines here in the game and the community. So these are extremely reliable sources. And basically what they tried to do was track down these exact files in the data themselves so that they could go ahead and corroborate what that was seen here, and it does not exist. So we actually had one data miner, in fact, take a look at the global side and the Korean side, and unfortunately for everyone involved, this was not in there. So not only that, but the structure of the file names does not match what we normally see with the SS characters. Therefore, this is more than likely definitely a fake. This is according to not just myself, but the data miners that are the ones that typically do this work. So considering the fact that only one supposed data miner was able to find this and none of the other data miners out there can, well, that pretty much tells you all you need to know. Now, that is not to say that SS Rio and SS Terry are not a possibility. I don't really understand where people get that from. I actually saw people acting like I was saying that those weren't a possibility just because I said this particular photo wasn't real, but whatever. So let's talk about what I think is going to be the next SS banner. Well, in my opinion, we're going to be seeing either one of SS Terry or SS Rio and a partner character, which I feel like is a really important distinction to make, because I feel like a lot of players out there are acting like there's somehow going to be an SS Rio and SS Terry joint banner for whatever reason, which I don't understand. There's no reason to pair either of those characters together. That would actually make very little sense. I mean, outside of the fact that they are going to be kind of the poster boys for their respective franchises of Art of Fighting and Fatal Fury respectively, I just don't see that happening. I think that they would be on a separate banner, and then they'd kind of just be paired with another character that would make more sense to their lore. I mean, really, if you stop and you think about it, with a character like Terry, there's any number of possibilities. You could have a character in here, you could have like Andy, or you could have a character such as Geese, or you could have Rock. Any number of characters would make sense next to Terry. Rio would not be one of those, and then Rio has any number of characters that you could easily pair with him as well. You could have a character like Yuri, you could have a character like, I don't know, King, you could have a character like Takuma, Mr. Karate, whatever you wanted to do. So there's plenty of different options for both of these different characters for partners, but to put them together makes no sense to me whatsoever. So we're throwing that possibility right out the window right off the bat, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's a toss-up on which one of these characters we're going to see first. But if we're operating under the assumption that likely we're going to either be seeing one of either SS Rio or SS Terry as the headliner of an SS banner, then we have to pick one. So the one that I'm going to go ahead and go with is going to be SS Rio as our next headliner for an SS banner. Now, I don't have a whole lot to go on this outside of the fact that we have had a lot of Art of Fighting love in the game recently, especially with that random rush dungeon that we had a couple of weeks ago. And then of course the other thing is going to be, and this is to a much lesser extent because historically I don't think there's much of a track record to show that these types of things actually are some sort of tip-off, but when it comes to that new login photo for the login streak for that 7,000 free rubies that we talked about at the top of the video, it has Yuri on it, so we'll just go with Rio, right? Like, we have to lean in one direction or the other, so we'll go with SS Rio. So if we are predicting that SS Rio is going to be the headliner for the next SS banner, that of course is going to mean that we are going to have to then figure out, okay, well, who's he going to get paired with? Well, there's a plenty of options out there and on the table. Some of them make more sense than others, but in my opinion, I think that the one that is going to happen is going to differ greatly from the one that I would like to see happen, because of course the one that I want to see is SS King. You guys have heard me talk about this ad nauseum over the course of the past year, and even longer than that. I've been waiting for this character, not necessarily an SS version, but just a FES version in general. She is my favorite character in all of SNK lore, and she is the character that I have been begging for, but unfortunately I do not think my time has come, nor the rest of us out there that have been clamoring for her. I don't think our time has come yet, because I think that more than likely they're probably going to pair Rio with Yuri. That would make sense because of course it's his sister. Now of course King would make sense too because she's technically his love interest, but I just don't see it, guys. I really don't. I think Yuri is going to be the character he likely gets paired with. If he doesn't get paired with Yuri, I think from there that the next character that more than likely they'd pair him with would be like an SS version of Mr. Karate, but at the same time, Yuri to me makes the most sense. Again, I don't have a whole lot to go off of on that, but I do think that the chances are that Yuri is going to be the character they'd pair with a potential SS Rio. So yeah, my disappointment is great, and my sadness is even greater. Which I guess at this point is going to bring me to my next topic, which is something that I've been wanting to talk about quite a bit recently, but haven't had a good chance to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about it here at the end of this video. But I really am starting to get to a point where I've hit the banner fatigue in a big way. I'm getting tired of banners, and I've been tired of banners, and I've been kind of like whatever about them recently, but anymore I'm to the point where I just, unless it's a character that is really good, like this last banner that we just had with these Boss Syndrome Volume 4 characters, or it's going to feature a character that I really like this last Boss Syndrome Volume 4 banner with Gonits, then I just don't care. I really just don't care. Honestly, it's one of those situations where I think I'm probably going to find an excuse to skip a banner very soon, whether it's this banner, which is honestly the one that I really hope I can skip. Like if it's SS Rio and SS Yuri, chances are I'm just gonna go ahead and wholesale skip it, unless it's like the new meta. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip it entirely. One, there's a collaboration more than likely coming up in the next month and a half or so, and then on top of that, I would prefer to be able to just bank that extra SS generic memory with the one that I've already got laying around, and with those two I could go ahead and get my SS Kasumi to Awakening level 3, which at this point is a bigger priority to me. I would rather build her than some random SS character that they just added in that really doesn't interest me. But I understand if you're a fan of either of those characters that we're predicting might be on this next banner, go ahead and pull them. That's great. If they're your favorites, you always want to pull, but for me, it's going to be a lot of components for this. Like I'm to that point where I'm tired of pulling, and I really just am not excited for this banner. I should be, I really should be by all rights, because there's all the potential in the world that it could be maybe an SS Terry along with even like an SS Geese or an SS Rock or an SS Andy or something like that. And if it ended up being Geese or a Rock, especially alongside Terry, who is one of my favorite characters period in this series, then yeah, of course I would be all over that, because Fatal Fury is actually my favorite of the SNK fighting franchises. But I don't see it coming this time around. I think that that'll be the next SS banner after the next one. But yeah, I really just don't see it. So it is what it is, guys. I think that at this point we pretty much kind of already have a good inclination as to what it is we're going to be seeing with this banner. It's more than likely, as I said, SS Rio with someone else. If it's not SS King and it's not SS Mr. Karate at that point, then I'm just going to go ahead and skip it unless it's totally broken, because at the end of the day, if I were to skip this banner, by the time we got to the collaboration or the next BS banner, whichever comes first, I'm sitting at like 100k rubies at that point if I were to skip. So unless the card banner is something that is going to be really good for this next SS banner, I'll always pull for cards instead of characters if need be. But unless that ends up being something super broken in there, then I'm likely just going to skip. So that's just my opinion, you guys. I know that I have said in the past that I have had certain banners that I've thought about skipping, but I really am at this point thinking about just skipping this one, because I don't really need it. I have a Gonits, and I'm still having way more fun with Gonits and Leona than I should be, so I think that honestly I'm just probably going to take the wait and see approach, and if it isn't a character that I care about, I'm just skipping out. But you guys can let me know in the comments section down below if you're excited and who you think it'll be. If you found it informative, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll go ahead and see you in the next one. Peace.
Continue.